What my mom would do would be, I loved solving a math problem. I would go to her all excited. Look, I did it. I found the right answer. And she'd look at it and she'd be like, that's great. But you know what, Mary? There is another way of coming to the same conclusion. She knew that I could not rest but find that other second way. Gosh darn it. So I'd go and figure out the second way on how to come to the same conclusion. I really believe that that has helped me a lot. I'm curious too, if there is one or two solutions or three or four, I want to figure it all out. And always looking to how can I contribute to this has always been my drives. I had this pride of, wow, that was a really difficult problem, but I solved it. So that has helped me in the business. I love problem solving.
Today's guest for Time-Tested Mastery is Meri Rama, and her story is pure time-tested mastery. Meri immigrated from Albania at 23 with a dream and the willingness to do the work. She didn't just make it in America, she built it. Today, she's the force behind two respected businesses, Century 21 Cornerstone and Focus Escrow. What makes Meri a fit for this show isn't just success, it's how she got there and how she leads. She's known for high standards, integrity, and meticulous attention to detail, the kind that creates confidence and protects people in high-stakes transactions. And she doesn't hoard what she's learned, she pours it into others, coaching and training her agents to build real businesses and better lives for their family. Meri is also deeply committed to giving back, supporting her community and charitable initiatives with genuine compassion. Her journey is a masterclass in resilience, leadership, and building something that lasts. Time-Tested Mastery listeners, please welcome Meri Rama. Well, it's so great to have you here and to talk with you again after all this time.
I know. What a pleasure and an honor, really. I was so excited when you reached out, Mark. We've been friends for a very long time, and I've always looked up to you, and you've mentored me in quite a few things. So I appreciate being here.
Well, you have a great story. So share a little bit about your background, sort of that story that brought you here to the U.S. Before you started your real estate career.
Sure. Well, life before real estate, right? As you said in my introduction, I grew up in Albania during communist times. So I was born and raised during some tough times for my country. And I came here as an immigrant in 1994. Actually, I don't know if I've shared this little detail with you, but I won a competition. When Albania opened up, and I was there during the communist times, I was there during the revolution time, and I was pretty ambitious for the country I was in, especially on a woman level. Those years were pretty rough when you wanted to go beyond and just explore new possibilities and opportunities. So when Albania opened up after the revolution, I wanted to do more. I wanted to look into other areas because I was a biology student in those days. We didn't have free economy, we didn't have businesses, and so I wanted something different. I ran into business through some translation I did for the Albanian government. There were businesses that came from Italy and Albania, and I fell in love with the business world. So I was looking for opportunity in the business arena. And in those days, there were only men in Albania doing it. So it was pretty difficult since I didn't know anything about free economy or didn't know anything about business, but I've always been an avid learner. I was looking for opportunities to learn more. There is this group of professors that came from San Diego State University to teach a class on how to manage a small business. And I jumped right in. I was like, oh my goodness, let's go and learn more about business. And I realized that at the end of that course, it was 8 of us out of 60 that would win a prize. And guess what the prize was? Coming to America.
Really?
So I never in my wildest dreams had I dreamt to come to America. Actually, America for us was scary, the way that the communist regime would talk about America was pretty scary. So I always thought I'd leave the country for better opportunities, but I saw myself maybe Italy. Never did I think America. So I decided to enter this competition for two things. One, I could improve on my English because I knew Italian very well. And in those days, the more foreign languages you had, the better job you could get. And two, I wanted to learn more about business since there was nothing that we could teach us anything at that time. So I entered that competition. At the end of it, I was one of the lucky eight that made it to come here to learn how to manage a small business. And here I am,
Well,
30, what is that? 31 years later.
so I think what's fascinating about that is I always ask people that I'm talking to, when you were growing up, did you imagine yourself being in the real estate business? Did you imagine yourself being a salesperson for a career? And you started off by saying that you were studying biology, but you weren't even planning when you were growing up to be in the US for your career at all. So growing up, you weren't planning on what you're doing today.
No, not at all. I teach agents and people how to dream big nowadays. I didn't even have a dream like that. I mean, you couldn't. We were so limited in knowledge of the world. We only knew our communist world, and America was scary for us. So I always, in my dreams, I would be this princess that would go to some other country and live in castles. But that's as far as the dreams are made for me. But I was always a big dreamer in other ways, not for business, because that's not something that we had there. But I knew I was made for something better. I just didn't know what that was. And with God's grace, everything started to just reveal itself. Literally not in any way, shape, or form I had ever thought about. And I feel so blessed and so thankful that my path led to America. I'm just so grateful to God and to this country that gave me opportunities that I never, ever, ever dreamed about.
Yeah, that is fascinating. So you were involved with a competition in a class somehow that was affiliated with San Diego State University, and the prize was to come to the US. But you still, so how did you get from there coming to the US to finding the real estate business?
Actually, in my case, real estate found me. I did not find the real estate. I had no idea what real estate meant. We never owned anything back home in my country. The government um, gave us a home to live. The government told us where to live, how big the apartment would be, where to work, all of that. Real estate was not even a concept. I came here knowing that I was made of great work ethics. I was always very responsible. I was always very curious. I cared for people. I grew up with a lot of care for people. So I cared to be helpful. And also I cared to be better for myself. So um, I had to do any job that came my way because it was a survival mode. Mark, when I came here, I had no money, no connections, no network. I had no idea of the culture at all. It was such a big shock to my system with the culture. I knew English of England, but I didn't know the slang. So I remember those first days when I just didn't even know what people were saying sometimes. But I would take notes behind it because my first job was a waitress at Coco's restaurant. Actually, I had to work up to the waitress. I had to start as a hostess.
Yeah.
My biology straight A degrees did not matter at all. But I'm super thankful though. In those days, I'd go to work crying because I didn't have a car and I had to be in Coco's outfit in a bus. And coming from the background of all intellectual people in the family, we never had to do hard work in the sense of as a job. It was kind of seen not at your level based on the brain capability. So I would go to work and I would cry every day saying, what did I do to myself? Why did I stay and to suffer this way? Because I was also fighting immigration and I needed two jobs to even pay for a car. And they were really, really tough beginnings, but I'm super thankful that my first job was that, because I got to learn the culture, I got to learn the people, I got to learn the slang, I got to learn what makes them happy. And I realized that if I would put a big smile on my face, and even if I didn't understand everything they were saying, or if I would laugh at their jokes and I made them feel better, I realized that that's what people cared for, is that good energy, that care for them. And that was my first lesson here that helped me later on in my business.
Yeah.
And what I would do then, it helped me also learn the culture and the language, because then what I would do is I would write down what I didn't understand when I would go back to preparing the dishes. I would write down what I didn't understand, and then later on I'd go to the family I lived with, and I would ask them what it was. So the next time that I heard the same joke or the same saying, I knew what I was talking about.
Knew what they
I
were.
knew what I was laughing
Yeah.
for. So it was quite a humbling, but seriously, experience that was very necessary to prepare me for the next step. Because then it also taught me the resilience. It taught me not to give up, because I was ready to give up so many times to go back home to the comfort of my parents and to the love of my friends. Because I was very, very alone and very lonely. Beside the money, I had no one to talk to.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult, but it gave me the grit. It gave me, the ability to not quit no matter how hard it is. I wanted to win, Mark. I did not want to go back home defeated. And I decided that I was willing to pay whatever price to make it happen. And I'm grateful that I made those decisions no matter how tough it was.
Well, you shared a lot of things there that I want to make sure that the listeners hear. It sounds to me like, well, I know that you've achieved the quote American dream. I don't know if you knew what the American dream was before you came. It sounds like you didn't, because of what you were hearing from the people in your country about what to be worried about here. But you came with work ethic. You came with an open mind. I mean, you said, I didn't know. I was open to learning, which is a very important trait to have in any career that you're going into. I mean, because we have to continue to learn. And even more importantly, I think a lot of people overlook is that you started as a server, so you were dealing with people. And I have met a lot of real estate salespeople that sort of learned how to talk with people as a server, in a restaurant, high end, or it doesn't matter what kind of restaurant it is, but having the ability to speak and communicate with people. But you started with not knowing the slang. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, I just remember when I would go to my colleagues and say, hey, what does this mean? Because I understand this part of the word, but what does this part of the word mean, so I can put the whole idea together? At the same time, I feel that people appreciate that genuine desire to really learn about the culture and learn about them. So even when I made mistakes, they could see that it was genuine mistake and a genuine desire to really learn from it. So I think that that's what I also try to feed that to my agents, to say, just go for it. It's
Mhm.
just, there's nothing that you could do that could be so bad that, it can ruin your career. Actually, people appreciate human beings. None of us is perfect. And I think the most beautiful lessons were in the days when I was completely imperfect and I just was being myself and saying, hey, Mark, please teach me this, because I really don't know, but I'm so excited to learn. And it's that passion and that energy and that desire that people really appreciated from me. And I think that that's how doors are open, because they saw how hard I work, how I was super resilient, how I would never quit till we figured something out. In any jobs I've had, I've given 150% of myself, even if the pay was very little. I never thought of the money, Mark, when I was doing these jobs. I just wanted an opportunity to show people how good I can serve them. And that has been the foundation, and everything's built on that cornerstone has been the most incredible asset, really, not my knowledge and not my, how good I was. It was just the genuine desire to help people. And they saw that my heart was pure in that direction, and they always worked with me.
So today, own a brokerage. I believe you have, if I remember correctly, you have 90 salespeople working with you.
Yeah, I can't believe myself. Started with 8.
And you started with 8, now you have 90. You own and operate an escrow company, and I know that you've expanded that into additional markets. But you said that real estate found you. What was it like for you in the beginning?
Man, it was scary and it kind of felt lonely. I didn't have mentors. I didn't have people to really show me the way. It was really just, let me back off a little bit, because how did real estate found me? I was in the restaurant and I was waitressing, and then I wanted to learn the language, and I went to English as a second language. I literally put a lot of work. As an immigrant, we have a lot of, my accent was so thick and I didn't know a lot of the language. So I wanted to really learn the language so I can communicate with people. I didn't want people to guess what I was saying. I wanted to really learn the language so I could feel at least not equal, because I mean, even to today I have an accent, but I wanted to express myself well. I wanted to know the language. So I went to English as a second language class, and that's where I kind of randomly ran into this, what looked like a European woman, and we connected and we were talking, and she worked for Century 21 Cornerstone. And I kept saying to her, I just need a chance, just one chance to show what I can do. Because, I mean, God bless all the waitresses and the restaurants. I know I need something different. And I kept saying that, I guess, for a very long time. And I didn't know that in the background, she was going to the brokers of Century 21 Cornerstone and was asking them to give me an opportunity for an interview. So that's how I started in real estate. I applied for a job as a secretary of the company, and I started there. And the fun part of it, one, the desire to learn brought me to English as a second language, where the opportunity of meeting this wonderful lady that was an agent for Cornerstone. Even after knowing her, I didn't know what real estate was. She said real estate, but it didn't compute. And so that desire to learn led me to her. And her desire to help led me to Century on Cornerstone and becoming the secretary of Cornerstone. And I remember telling one of the owners, I said, Bill, listen, just give me an opportunity. Don't even pay me the first week. I seriously, nobody had taught me anything. I didn't read Napoleon Hill at that time. I had no idea who he was. I just was so passionate about the fact that just let me show you who I can be. Money was not ever my first initial goal. It was like, just give me that chance. And actually, the owners were really shocked. They were like, what? Where'd you come from? Albania? Wow, bring some more of you. I don't know. But they were shocked that I said, don't pay me. And I meant it. I didn't have any value for them. I told them, listen, till I learn the phones, until I bring some value to you, I don't feel good to get paid. I felt like they're doing me a favor, and maybe it's my culture. We are very prideful. I don't want anything to be given to me. I want to earn every step. So I didn't want the money, because I knew I did not deserve it at the moment. I just need to learn. And that's how it all started. And then the fun part of it is, because I wanted more, that if anybody would quit in the company, they knew I was absolutely, yes, I'll do it. So they would come to me and say, hey, this person quit. Could you take over this job? I'll never forget how I was like, of course I can. It was like, how difficult can it be?
Yeah.
It's like, let me figure it out. And I would never hesitate. And so I started learning from the secretary. I became the relocation director. And again, I didn't have mentors. I didn't have anybody to guide me. I just would be given, here is a name and a phone number, figure it out. So, and that's okay. Actually, I'm super grateful that I learned it that way. And now I can make it easier for the agents or for my staff so they can accelerate the growth a lot and get to where they want to be a lot faster. So it was step by step, but me wanting more, wanting to learn more, wanting to help more people, wanting to be of value more than I got paid. That in that kind of concept, I got paid a lot more than I ever thought I would.
So you've talked about, the desire to learn and being open to learning and all kinds of new things. And you started out, by coming to the country and really not knowing anything that was going on here. But there's something more that you are talking about there, is that when you were confronted with a position or a job to do, even with not getting all the direction from your predecessor or from the owners of the company, you took it upon yourself to become a problem solver and to create the solution, is what it sounds like. Where did that desire, or where did that ability come from?
What a great question. I love this one. I actually want to give a shout out to my mom, who's a math teacher, on this one. Because as we were growing up, I grew up with a lot of values and traditional family kind of. You earned everything, sometimes to the point where it was even annoying to get the attention from the parents was if you got the straight A's, right? So I was like, whatever it takes to make that attention come to me and not to my brother. No, I love my brother. But, it's like I wanted my parents to be proud. So, and they put a lot of high standards on me because of the way the country was. In our country in those days, I had to earn the position in anything I did. So the straight A's is so I find, I would not let the government tell me where to go study. So the only way to really go to where I wanted to go was straight A's. So a little bit of it was in my genes already. A little bit was my parents putting very high standards of achievement. And literally in Albania, what I appreciate so much, even though difficult times to be raised in, but I appreciate so much that sense of self responsibility. It was no one's fault. If I didn't get my straight A's, it was on me. If I fell and got hurt, it's like, well, you need to look at the street better. And God gave you a set of eyes. So what were you doing? Right. So there was no, oh, poor you ever. I got a B, it would be like, well, you didn't study hard enough. It was never about the teacher. It was never about, even if it was a bad teacher, it was about like, well, if it's a bad teacher, you figure out how to go around it and give the teacher what they need of you. So that sense has always been helped me in the most difficult situations. And then I said, math teacher, I loved math. I don't know. It was like, give me an equation, I can solve a problem. So
Well,
I think it's
that's good. That's good as an escrow company owner, is to be good at math. That's really good.
also math. It's not just what I've now I look back and I say, math is not just for the numbers. Math, it just really develops your brain in problem solving. And then what my mom would do would be, I loved solving a math problem. And then I would go to her all excited. Look, I did it. I found the right answer. And she would look at it and she'd be like, that's great. But you know what, Mary? There is another way of coming to the same conclusion. I would be like, she knew that I could not rest, but find that other second way. And I'd be like, gosh darn it. So I'd go and figure out the second way on how to come to the same conclusion. And I really believe that has helped me a lot. One, curious; two, if there is one or two solutions or three or four, I want to figure it all out. And always looking to how can I contribute to this has always been my drives. I had this pride of, oh, that was a really difficult problem, but I solved it. So that has helped me in the business. I love problem solving. It's helped me. So when agents, either in escrow or when I'm coaching my own agents, when they come to me, it used to be very stressful for me to like, oh my God, what do they want, right? And am I going to be able to figure it out? Now it's like, okay, let's talk about it. What is the problem? What is the scenarios? What are the possible outcomes? What are the results we can create for the people? What are they looking for, and how can we make that all happen for them? It's just, I love that part of the business. And in escrow, I make it so easy for, when the big problems come in, it's like, okay, like a math equation, let's look at the facts. Let's look at the X, Y, and Z's and how we can put it together to give the answers to the clients. So it's very exciting for me to be part of this.
I love what you shared about taking responsibility and, and not putting the blame on anyone. There was a recent article that I collaborated with for Authority magazine, and they asked for 5 things that are important for leaders. And the first one was taking radical personal responsibility. And so you've definitely put a lot of those time tested principles into the way that you operated your business and the way that you do it today. Talk about the progression. Did you always work in agent support and management, or did you sell for a period of time?
I definitely did sales for a couple of years because I was, again, one thing led me to another. And they would always put me in positions where I would be helping people because they saw my ability to connect. They saw my desire to help. I was always a yes, let me see what I can do. I never would say no to people, no matter how big the problem was. It's the ability to say the no is there. If it can't be done, it's there, but I'm not going to say it up front till I've exhausted every possibility of any way to helping them solve this problem. So I would always be the one that would be like, let me look at it, let me jump into it, let me figure it out, and I'll take all this stress from people. So the ownership saw that skill or that ability with me, that I was so willing and devoted to helping people, that they always put me in position to either make people feel welcomed or how can I help the brand new ones. So I started going into the classes for the brand new agents so I could connect them better with the company. I could answer questions because by then I knew the structure of the company pretty well, and I would I would be there for any questions they had. But at the same time, my curiosity and wanting to learn, I would stay in the class. I wouldn't do like a lot of management to do. They just go introduce themselves, say, hey, I'm Meri from Century 21. And, these are any questions you have, I'm here, and then leave. I would stay in the class. And that's how I started learning. I took the real estate class 3 times, I think, because I was being with the brand new agents. And then I decided, well, let me get the real estate license and start selling and learn the sales part of it. Because I feel like I wouldn't have been a good leader if I did not feel the pain that the agents feel on a daily basis, feel the rejection, feel the embarrassment, feel the acceptance, feel what the clients need, what the agents go through. And so I got my license, and I'll never forget, again, my desire to help. I was a relocation director at that time. I was bringing a lot of business in. And relocation, I mean, you know how it works. Like other companies bring you business and you assign it to other agents. And there was this one particular one that I got this call and said, hey, Meri, this is a really tough client. Actually, it was like, this client is crazy. My mother instinct is like, I don't want my agents to like be with a crazy client. Guess who? I took it upon myself. It was like, I'll get hurt. I'd rather do that than have an agent go and get hurt by this crazy person. I didn't even know what that meant. Crazy. How crazy can it be? So I go to the appointment myself. This was my first listing appointment ever. I had just received the license. And I remember this like today. First listing appointment, I go there expecting it's going to be somebody really scary. I go there and just the client was just different, but nothing crazy or scary about it. I guess maybe being raised in a tough communist country, I knew what tough people and crazy people were. So we had created that immunity. But I went there and she was very demanding and very strong and she was very upfront. But that's how I was raised, you know, people tell you the truth if it hurts or not. I mean, Albanians don't hold back. So I just went there and I didn't even know the contract yet. And what I did is I read every single word in the contract to her, and she thought I was the most detailed agent she'd ever seen and gave me the listing. And I sold 3 or 4 homes for her in 2 years just because I said, well, how crazy can it be? Let me protect the agents and let me go do it myself. So if there is any harm, it can be only caused to me. And I felt this, just creating some level of service too to my company. So, she connected with me simply from the pureness of my desire in my heart to really be of service to her. And she never looked back or went with anybody else ever since. So I did sell after her for 2 years after those 2 transactions, and a couple more in the next couple of years. I sold real estate for 2 years. I also was asked, and I'll never forget this too, is like, these are literally milestones that really shape also your character. Because I was pregnant with my second child, personally in a tough position. I had just come out of a very difficult immigration fight that I was almost being kicked. I was given deportation orders and won that battle, but it was a very tough and difficult one. So I was just thinking, now I can have a break. But that's not how life is, you know that. So I was thrown a curveball. I had just learned real estate. I was just starting to have some good reputation in the community. And I was being the hub for Cornerstone for all, just the agents from other companies as well. And here comes the ownership of Century 2 Cornerstone and says, well, our escrow company is losing money. So we really need you to go and figure out what's going on. Mark, I had no idea what escrow was. I only would put on the contract who to use. But other than that, no concept what escrow did. So I looked at them. I'm like, in about 2 months, I'm going to have a second baby. I have no idea what escrow is. How do you expect me to do this? And I was like, well, go figure it out. So here I'm like going there, all the connections that I had made with agents outside of Cornerstone. I went and I said, can I take you to lunch? I just want to pick your brain. So I would take agents that liked me and I'd go to lunch. And even though I knew nothing about escrow, I'd be like, could you do me a big favor and give me an escrow, just one escrow once, just try me. I'll do it, whatever it takes to make sure that we close it. So because they liked me as a person and it's an immigrant story that I'm working really hard to make it in real estate, they would give me that opportunity. I brought a couple of escrows in and these agents would call and say, we love you, but we will never give your escrow another chance.
Ooh.
And instead of being all like, I'm giving up and go to the owners, just like, this sucks and I don't know, I saw it as an opportunity. And I said, wow, I appreciate what you've done for me, but share with me, why wouldn't you not give us an escrow again? What's going on? Because remember, they sent me to figure it out, not to bring more business. I just figured out that the way to figure it out was to ask for business. And people that will give me business will tell me the truth. So be careful what you wish for. And so they would tell me, well, you're amazing, but your escrow officer treats people really badly. So that was one of the biggest lessons I learned before I opened my own escrow company. Little did I know God was preparing me toward this new business I would be opening in 5 years from then.
Right.
The first lesson I learned was a big smile and treating people well and making them feel seen and heard and taken care of was way more valuable than how good technically you are as an escrow officer or even as an agent. I mean, it applies for
Right. Right.
everything.
Yeah.
How you make people feel is the most important thing that I learned that is going to either make or break the business. So I went back to the owners and I said, I will tell you why you're losing money. You have someone that treats people badly. And I said, if you want me to take care of this, I need to go there and be the secretary of that escrow company. So hence, I started the escrow career
Yeah.
and became the secretary of an independent escrow company, learned everything. I mean, again, I didn't have mentors. The escrow officers would not train me because they were afraid of I would take over. I guess they were not wrong. But if they had done a good job, that would not have been a problem. And so as I learned, I remember I didn't even know what termite report looked like. So I would answer the phone and people would say, hey, I need the termite report. I was like, how difficult can this be? Let me go and pick up a file and find what says termite report. I mean, sometimes it's just common sense. It's just a desire to serve people. And because I didn't want them to hang up without getting what they wanted. And so that's how I learned and I became an escrow officer. And then I took over and I know this might sound bad, but I had to let go of the escrow officer that did not respect people.
Right. Right.
And ever since that day, because now I was in charge of who I hired, every interview of every escrow officer to today, of every escrow assistant, every escrow secretary is, do you have a desire and a will to serve? Are you going to be positive, welcoming, and make people feel important? And if you don't, you can say to me now, yes, but if those things are an issue, we are not going to be able to work together because I've built both companies on that reputation. If I say to you, Mark, please give me a piece of business, rest assured, I'm going to take incredibly good care of you, even if I have to jump in and do it myself.
Yeah.
And that's how I started the escrow career as well. And that's how I've continued to build both companies.
Awesome. Well, that's a great story. And I know you because we were, franchise and company owners together and, met each other at events and, gone
Yeah.
through, we know the industry and all the sales training. And so, we've seen each other, over the years at many of these events. And might be a little bit of a curveball, but I'm going to ask you, what's one thing if you were talking with a brand new agent, what's the most important you think for a brand new agent to know? What is the most important thing for a sophomore or a junior career level real estate person supposed to know? And what would you tell the top producer, the person that's been doing it for years? What's the most important? Everybody is in a different stage in their career. So based on those three different scenarios, what's the one thing that you would share with them?
Let's start with the brand new agents. What I would say to the brand new agent is who mentors you and who your broker and owner and coach will be, it will make or break your career.
That's great
So
advice.
important, so important that you go with someone that knows what they're doing, that has been in the business for a while, but not just been in the business as a broker or a, you know, owner just because of the years, but do they really coach their agents? Do they really pay attention to the brand new agents? Do they have someone they can go to that can solve their issues? And not only that, Mark, but find a broker and a coach that will keep you accountable. Because what we see is that with all good intentions, with all the great brokers out there, they get too busy. They have too many agents. They just want numbers because, just let me be honest. I mean, we're in the brokerage business and it's not, Mike always laughs and says, brokers are called brokers because they're broke. And the reason he says that is because agents think that it's this glamorous to be a broker, and due to all of the commission and how the real estate industry has gone, is like, they need a lot of numbers, a lot of agents to make the office profitable. Well, be careful of that, because if the brand new agent ends up being just the number, they are going to nothing will happen to the broker because they're playing the numbers game, but they will literally destroy their career. And more than that is their desire to build a business and to really create something of their own. So it's super important who you are going to connect with as a brand new agent. Is there a mentorship? Is there a sales training and I just really want to shout to all the brand new agents, please have those brokers show you day one, week one, day two, week two. What is my schedule? What am I supposed to do? Who do I go to if I have a question? I see so many brand new agents that are so lost. And it breaks my heart because, and I take full responsibility and I say, it it's us brokers who are failing them. And then accountability. Everybody wants to be liked, and no one wants to step up and say, if you want to come in this company and you want to be successful and you do want to make a better life for your family, may I have permission to tell you the truth and tell you exactly what you need to do and keep you accountable for it, because I care for you and I care for your goals. So that's what I would tell a brand new agent. Now,
What about the person that's been around for a little bit and knows that they can do the business and they want to grow it?
and I love that mid-level agent that has created a good foundation. For them, I would say, don't ever stop showing up, because this is what I see. A brand new agent, all excited. I'm going to do everything you want me to do. Not what I want, but everything that is needed in the business, right? Make me successful. They're eager. They want it. And they're going to accept the accountability. They're going to accept that rough and tough schedule. They're going to work with me on the mindset. And then the moment they start creating 3, 4, 5 transactions, they stop the activities that got them to that point. They don't want to go back to basics. They don't come to script practice. They don't come to the classes anymore. And then all of a sudden, I see them starting going down in production, and there is no momentum. And either two things will happen: either they go down in production, they never recover. As humans, just become very like, we beat ourselves up and say, I'm a failure. And then we just get out of the business. Or what I see is that they create this pattern that is always like production, non production, production, non production, production, non production. And they go through this emotional roller coaster without realizing that they got away from the habits that we created that were super productive. So
Right.
to them, I say, never stop treating it like a business and continuing to do the daily schedule that is the basics, that feels like the basics, but that got them that momentum to begin with.
So they need to treat it like a real job every day.
Real
Very
job
good.
every day. And I
Yeah.
tell them, how would you like it if I show up one day, I don't show up 10 days, I take vacations for a month and come back a month later, or, that I will answer my phone today, but not tomorrow. How would you like working under a broker like that? They don't like it, but
Yeah, let's talk about the top producer that's been around a while, and what's the most important thing that you would share with them?
with the top producers, I would share with them, stay plugged in, because they're the ones that probably are not as connected with the culture of the company or with the company itself, because they feel that, just like majority of the agents, especially top producers, they do feel that they have reached this level that they don't need it. And I agree, in a lot of levels, they do not need that very like rigid, maybe accountability with the owners or the brokers. Maybe they don't need to be as connected with the other agents, because for them now distractions are very, very costly. So what I would say to them is that come in, come in the office, have a daily schedule, make those daily prospecting calls. Because what I see with top agents is that now they're going into a lot of them, not, I'm not talking, everybody, but for a lot of them is that they get away from looking for new business. And they, a lot of times, will wait for the phone to ring because they've served so many people. And the biggest challenge with them is to continue keep them focused on making those 2-hour phone calls no matter what.
Yeah.
Even
And from my standpoint, the agents that have been around for a long time that have been successful, the staying engaged for me that you're talking about is important, because what got us to be successful in a market that's emerging, the client and the buyers and the sellers, their expectations change. Some of the scripts that or some of the dialogues that we've used become stale. New objections come up to them, or new resistance comes up to them. New technology becomes available. There's all kinds of things that are changing. And when somebody gets into a really good groove, I mean, they're really doing well for a long period of time, the market's changing. If their business plan is not changing, they're actually falling behind. The people that are behind them in production are chasing them. The tools of the trade are changing. And so if they're not engaged, like you're talking about, they're losing their edge if they're not staying engaged. So I think that's great advice.
and to be honest, is in the today's market with technology that everybody has, how are you going to stand out? So it's so important to really sharpen the skills at any level, especially at top producer level, when they feel that, well, they got it because of experience. The most important thing is the communication skills got to be sharpened every single day. Because if there is any competitive edge, is how we communicate with people. So for the really top tier of the agents, is I would challenge them to be the greatest communicators and just sharpen those skills of communicating with everyone, not only who they're comfortable with. This is where it becomes really high level. Learn about personality styles. Learn how to deal with all those personality styles if it's in a conversation to set appointments, or if it is in getting the signature signed at the appointment. Also with the top agents, also just pushing, not because a lot of the times I see them counting on the results. Well, I'm number one, or I've sold this many, and they feel that that should give them the contract. The biggest challenge would be if they're losing the communication skills and the ability to connect with all kinds of different personalities. So at their stage, the ability to adapt to a variety of people in a variety of ways. And that is just really something that they can double their production if they were able to do that.
Right. Fascinating. Well, Meri, you have shared a lot. I know we could talk for a lot longer about the business, because we've been doing it for so long and we're so aligned with so many things. So let's leave some of those things for another time. We'll have another conversation another time. Share with everyone how they can reach you and your company,
Sure.
and how they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. You can reach me directly on my cell phone, 562-755-7454. Any questions you might have as far as escrow, title, any issues with, the real estate transaction, or how to build a business as a real estate agent. That's my passion. My passion is building businesses within my business. And that's how I see my agents as my partners in this venture. And I am so passionate about helping them be business owners within my business, build incredible production and build beautiful lives for themselves and their families. So I'm big on that. So any questions, I'm very much available. And my email, but I'd rather have you guys call me on my cell phone. I'm a more of a phone call person, and text me.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to make sure that every way that people need to reach you or can reach you is available in the show notes for them today. So again, Meri, I want to thank you for joining me today. I look forward to the next conversation that we have and wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Awesome. So I'm going to say goodbye to all of our listeners today for Time Tested Mastery. Today you learned a lot about a survivor, somebody that has come to our country and has truly achieved the American dream through real estate home ownership, which is the greatest path to legacy wealth in our nation. So I want to thank Meri for that. And if this was helpful to you, please share it with a friend or a colleague of yours, and we look forward to talking with you again soon.